There's so many. I mean, just look across the field now. Whether you go to PDP, whether you come to APC, whether you, well, those are the two contenders. Major parties now. It's not as if they're the only parties. What, 18 or so? How many?
18 in PDP, 26 in APC.
18 parties. You're talking about the total number of registered parties.
Okay, 18 political parties.
18 political parties. The other 16, they are active, but they don't have the blare, shall we say, of the ruling APC and the main opposition. But if there were 26 of them as of our conversation yesterday, in case anybody has gone and done it and we don't know about it, of course the question is, how many of them are serious? Because, look, we calculated it yesterday, calculating other people's money. You know, it's not in our pocket, but it is in it's in the pockets of APC now. How many of them? Can it be every last one of them has the hope of actually getting the nomination of the party? What's your thought on that, Jide?
Well, some of them are just pretenders.
Some of them at 100 million? At 100 million a pop?
There are only few contenders. We can count the contenders on our fingers.
On one hand.
On one hand. And some are just, I also ran, someone to put it in their CV that I aspire to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because everyone that paid this nomination fee will put it in his CV that's an aspirant. So there are those some of them have different goals and different objectives for aspirants. Some are going to use it as a gambit for negotiation eventually after the election is concluded and their parties secure the mandate from the electorate. So we knew who the contenders are, and we knew who the pretenders are, and we knew those that are just there just to catch fun.
And Dari, that kind of thing is allowed. I mean, if you first of all agree with Jide's analysis.
It is their money. I don't see anywhere in the constitution or in the party's guideline that would say if you have the money, don't come. There are people who expired before the actual amount was announced. We had a lot of aspirants who came out, addressed press conferences, even started moving around. But when they learned that the money will be 100 million, we stopped hearing about them. So that's on one part. On the other side is the fact that this is party democracy. You must also understand the fact that the parties need money to run this election. So for most of these people, they are contributing to the party indirectly. You know, all these laws and rules about what you can spend on electioneering and all that. But if a party says my form is 100 million and you pay, you cannot be accused of breaching any known law. So 100 million naira is, I already had one aspirant said his own money is an investment. He said it,
people are speaking openly now.
My money is an investment. Whatever he meant by that. But he used the word investment. And that's exactly what it is. Nobody will sit down, leave his house with 100 million naira and throw it away. He must have sat down, do some calculations, some permutations, planning, intentions around the money and all that before coming forward. There are people among these people who flew into the country from other countries, picked 100 million naira nomination forms, and returned to base. So they did not visit any leader to ask for support. They did not canvass for any delegates' vote. They are back to base after submitting. That tells you that these are people, like a doctor said, who are mere claimants to the title of aspiration. They do not intend to actually contest the election.
Daddy was saying that, yes, you come on.
No, that's where we need reforms. You can't just leave United States of America and come and pick form in Nigeria and return back. That's where we call for reforms. 2, it also calls for campaign funding reforms, because it also comes for restructuring of the party. The funding of the party should come from the membership of the party. APC claims to have 60 million people. If 60 million Nigerians should contribute 1,000 naira, that's when the people own the system. That these are the areas that we need to look into. If the means of raising fund for parties is through nomination form, then we are using the wrong approach. You are still providing, you are not solving the problem, you are creating an additional problem you want to solve. Because you said you don't want bunny bags to hijack the party, you don't want the godfathers to hijack the party. And in the process, you have shot someone like me, someone like Dari, and someone like you. If you have presidential aspiration, can we come out? Where are we going to get 100 100 million forms. I think the party should look inwardly and look at on how to generate funding, because this issue of this money, if it's not properly managed, because look at it has turned to a laughing stock.
Well,
for every, even when Buhari ran in 20, we have never had it this bad. Even when the nomination,
but the whole idea was to thin the field. The hope of the party was that, look, when you hear it's 100 million, that's for big boys only.
No, that's one, and it's mere permutation. It didn't turn out that way. But I taking it from what Doctor said about preventing money bags from
hijacking.
I think they're achieving that with this too. I'll tell you. Before now, the party needs 20 billion for electioneering. 2-3 people who provide that money and attempt to control the government.
Okay.
But in this case, you have 26 people. It's not going to be easy for one man to now call the shot. While we are still a far cry from where we are going, power to the people, we are gradually, with this process, moving in that direction.
Wow.
I am still of the opinion that 100 million naira does not support not too young to run. It doesn't. 100 million naira does not in any way show that we want politics to be for all. Obviously, it is for the rich. But alas, now we can keep money bags at bay.
Okay.
We now have many money bags, but bringing their 100 million.
Yes.
To support the party.
But not everybody is admitting to having brought 100 million. It's either friends,
it's either
did
for me.
Friends of this, or this
fact,
cattle breeders association
picked
for me. So they're not even. Where will that
There's
power?
no transparency in the system, Uncle Yori. Now we have seen the reemergence of Abacha's style of politics. Youth earnestly ask for Abacha, who is behind the stage pulling the curtains. Now, we saw a situation...
the strings.
Yeah, pulling the strings, thank you. Now, we saw a situation whereby Goodluck Ebele Jonathan said he knew next to nothing about those that pick the form for him. Emefiele said it is the poor farmers, and yet the price of rice products are skyrocketing. And then different faceless identity. Because the question I've asked is, if you can afford 100 million, what type of taxes have you paid to Nigeria?
These are things that...
Now, if you can, and if they are picking it on your behalf, show us your tax record. Now, because the party needs to have done an internal mechanism. I saw something which APC did with respect to, if you want to come and submit the form, you must get 10 delegates across the state of the federation. These are the screening processes that should have started before you pick the number. You remember in 2019, they only pick one form. It was only one form. That was printed. In actual sense, the form was fixed at 45 million, and the president said he cannot afford it, and they reduced it to now 4 years down the line, you move from 23 million to 100 million.
So where is that money going to come from? Anyhow, sorry, as you, in case anybody is wondering over the INEC rejects request for adjustment of 2023. Yeah, as I said, we'll be joined by Festus Okoye, INEC National Commissioner, Information and Voter Education, to consider that. All of this, you're talking about homework before collecting this money. Look, in relation to that, through the caption you see on your screen there, IPAC is the Inter-Party Advisory Council. Apparently has requested INEC to consider reviewing its timetable, so as to give them, I think they want to push it back by a month in order to enable them, cross the T's and dot the I's over the whole process. INEC, of course, has said absolutely not. Now, all this money that they're collecting, are they not also organizing, thinking, and planning? So why would the Inter-Party Advisory Council be asking INEC for an extension of time for what was not released, for a timetable that was not released 2 days ago or yesterday?
Well, it's the Nigerian thing, and I'm glad that INEC is insisting that, look, we have a timetable. You see, the parties should understand, because I want to believe IPAC is speaking for the parties, though the parties we expect to talk are yet to say a thing about it. It is strategic. You go and do the talking on our behalf, and if it is acceptable, it should be fine by all of us. Fine.
There's a script in a political script in
It's just playing out. It's
in
playing
order
out.
to understand what's going on.
But what we must understand, or what the parties must understand, the fact that a shift will also affect the preparations by INEC. There is a timetable. One of the reasons why INEC even went to the National Assembly to ask that let's do it this way, and they got the nod of the National Assembly, is that they want to ensure that by the time you are done with your primaries, all the litigations, the infightings will be over before, latest by December. By the time we're having the election in February or thereabout, there will be, INEC will no longer, that in the past, INEC had been confused as to what to do by conflicting court pronouncements. You will have court of same jurisdiction giving contradictory rulings on a particular issue, leaving the Electoral Commission confused. And okay, INEC will say because this party must contest, will pick A, there will be uproar. And 24 hours later, it will be B. At the end of the day, INEC will do what it ought not to do constitutionally.
Okay.
Bar a party from participating in an election. It is constitutionally wrong for INEC to make such pronouncements. But in most cases, INEC is left without a choice. Because either you go A or B, you'll be running foul of the law. So INEC is asking for enough time for you as political parties, as gladiators, as political players, as aggrieved party members, to sort all these your issues and then exhaust it. Then come forward. Is this the acceptable candidate? Enough time for even the case to get to Supreme Court if it must. And then come to us with your final candidate. That way, INEC is not involved in your intra-party squabbles. And I think this is good for our democracy.
Indeed, Jide, I think INEC has sort of been scrupulous in that regard. Don't anybody come and box us into a constitutional or legal corner. Fortunately, Festus and a number of other people in there, seasoned lawyers themselves. So they are not unfamiliar with the law and able to voice an impression.
I think that this amendment, with respect to what IPAC called for, with respect to what the National Assembly is trying to do, it's important. It's important. However, the extension they are calling for is left for INEC and other stakeholders to agree on. With respect to the amendment on the Electoral Act number 13 of 2022, it was because the National Assembly, they shot themselves in the foot because they want to exclude other people. In the first instance, that section 84 subsection 8 ought not to be in the Constitution. The regulation and the conduct of primaries is in the constitution of the party. It is not within the purview of National Assembly to legislate on that. And in the process of trying to shut out the delegates that hitherto were appointed by the executive, that's the commissioner, the ministers, the ambassador. Just imagine the president alone going to the national delegate as all the ministers, his special advisors, his special assistant, and all the ambassadors. Going to the delegate, to national convention, the president has close to about 500 votes, and he can determine. So in the process of shutting out those people, they shot themselves also in the foot. Only for them to realize that automatically it's a global convention that once you are an elected representative of a political party and you have tested your waters at the election, you automatically a delegate to the convention. It's statutory. But in the process of trying to kill the executive, they kill themselves. They threw away the baby, and all of a sudden they just realize that fact. So I think that there's a need for them to sit down with INEC and look at, well, these dates. If we still move it by, if they're asking for 1 month, I think INEC should give them like 2 weeks. I think if we still have the nomination of candidate by the end of June, we still have 6 months to the end of the year. The elections are taking place now because the process we even have. We give us what I call in local parlance. We move to the answer. It is not giving Nigerians the opportunity to know this aspirant. Do you know that within the space of 2 weeks, everything will be done? PDP will pick his candidate. No policy argument. APC will pick his candidate. No policy argument. No policy trust. All of a sudden, by the end of June 3rd, we just see presidential candidate of two parties. And Nigerians are left with no debate, with no discussion in a democracy. No.
Maybe this is part of the evolution of the growing of the process, the maturing of the process. We got to start somewhere, as you said.
Exactly where I want to start from.
That we're a far cry from where we want to be.
But we are inching towards it, and that's where I will still disagree with Doctor. You see, this process has been on for months now. A lot of people have been coming out to say, I am aspiring to be president. How many of them have been telling us what they want to do, really?
No,
where are the policy trusts? Where are the manifestos?
Very, very few of them.
Very few of them. And I tell you, Doc, those are the ones who have something to tell you. Is it my young friend who flew from California or wherever, picked the form and returned to her base? Is it the man who picked the senatorial ticket with the left hand and collected the presidential with the right hand?
The Senate president is that category too.
Well, I don't mention anybody's name. I know there are people who picked the senatorial form with their left hand.
Yes.
And collected the presidential form with the right. Is that the man who will tell you what he wants to do as president?
That calls for disqualification.
That's hedging their
Doctor, don't forget that he didn't collect the presidential form himself. It was picked for him
by friends of the candidate.
I think it was a friend of mine who is a DIG who told me something that every day when the police get smarter on how to curb criminalities, the criminals also create new ways of beating that's what I see politicians doing now. Okay, you cannot collect 2 forms, but somebody I don't even know collected one for me in my name. But this is the one I picked.
So what's going on?
I may choose to use the one they collect for me later.
Was it Ada from Jos or some such person? Maybe not. But a number of people expressed the sentiment of, they must think we're fools.
Well,
they must think we're fools in anger at what's going on. But
societies get the kind of leadership they deserve.
No.
That is the truth. Societies we don't deserve it, but come 2023 again, I'll prove to you that we deserve it, because we will have another opportunity to vote. You will see, Doc, you will see young men coming to even attack you on social media for saying the obvious. It happens to me every day. You put it there that, look, isn't this what we should be looking out for in our leaders? And people will come. Where are you? What do you know?
People are quite emotional about the matter. And
if you look at their emotions, wrongly placed, always looking out for those things that shouldn't matter. Leaving the things that should matter. The fact that somebody can spread money around. Somebody wrote on social media that it was at somebody's meeting, and one of the presidential aspirants visited Ogun State, and come and see, he gave each one of us 280,000. Which person has visited and given us 20,000, and you are coming here to write rubbish?
You see now.
That is the kind of thing you will see.
This is the problem of democracy, perhaps.
Every delegate election, whether local or international, Western, there is one form of inducement or the other.
Okay.
There's none of these aspirants that will not
it might be ideological. It might not be pecuniary.
But there's one form of inducement.
Okay. If we have ideological inducement, it's better for us.
Now, we don't deserve this type of leadership. But it is as a result of our docility over the years. And this system has been hijacked. Whether you look left, right, or center, it is the same actors, gladiators, the third 11 that seized the opportunity that there will be transition in 1999, because the first and second 11 lost interest, thinking that the military are not sincere with the transition. We battered this transition within 6 months. What led to this fourth republic was battered within 6 months. Now, a lot of people lost interest. And as a result of that, I've said it. For example, if you are telling me someone has money, tell me the value of every of the political class in 1999. Every one of them. What was their worth? What was their worth in 1999? Let them show us their bank balance in 1999. And 23 years down the line, all of these people are humongously richer than Nigeria. It's as a result of people lacking interest. But Nigerians are showing awareness. And will not lose interest in raising this consciousness of Nigerians towards them being part and parcel of the politics. Join a political party. Vote in an election. Don't read newspaper. You go to your join the CPA.
Read newspaper. So that,
Don't read newspaper on the day of the election. Read newspaper after you have voted. Thank you. Read newspaper after you have voted. Go out and
buy newspaper and go and go.
People need information, because if you say don't read newspaper, you
corrected myself. Don't watch television. Don't watch television.
Don't listen to radio.
I'm destroying my industry by saying so. Watch TV. Listen to radio. Buy newspaper after you have voted. But vote in the process. Join your community association. Join your development association. Participate in the political. That's the best way we can own this. That's where we can make a difference. Seek for elections into party ESCOs. All you need to do is to go and look at the calibers of people in the delegates.
Yeah.
That is talking about, if they give you, what's 280,000 to you? You see what that guy said? He said, who is the person that has given me? You know, he believed to himself to the point of 20,000. He said, who has given me 20,000 before? Those are the people that are going to determine the fate of 200 million Nigerians. So join a party. Participate in the process.
Realistically, gentlemen, I hear what Jide has just said, and we can all follow it, logically. But realistically, nothing is going to change, is it? At least not this time.
There'll be some changes.
There are changes already.
You think?
Yes,
you think?
There are changes. See, Uncle Yori, I'm always...
I'm talking about the way we approach politics and how...
It is changing.
People can't come into it if you don't have money. Remember Ganifawa of Yor?
No.
When he, when they were telling him, say, is it all this grammar that you want to
tell us?
Where's the real manifesto?
Yes, it is gradually changing. It will take... See, it may take us a long time to get there. But I am more convinced now, more than ever before, that we're actually going to get there. In the sense that there are few people coming up to speak like us who were not like us before. I go on social media these days and I throw in something. I have this confidence that out of the 100 people that will respond, at least 3 or 4 told my line.
Okay.
It wasn't like that before.
If you have 3 or 4%, it's something.
So it used to be 0%.
People just didn't want to.
Those who should join you are not even interested in the discussion. But nowadays, we're finding people reasoning like us, even among the political elites. A few were turning coats, looking at it and say, somebody told me, a member of the House of Representatives, I looked and I said, look, he will have to change his style of politics or he will leave politics. I said, why? He said, more and more people are getting confident to attack me in my constituency.
Yeah.
He said more and more people. And let me tell you,
and that attack simply means engaging
him. That's what it means.
And they didn't need to worry about how to respond to engagement.
There was a House of Assembly. There's a House of Assembly member from Ondo State who went back to his constituency to seek re-election. He was beating blue mother that we didn't see you for the past 4 years.
And suddenly you are here.
So the level of engagement is on the increase, and that's what is beauty. That's the beauty about democracy. Before, people were docile. They were not active. They were not saying things. Now the level of discussion, the level of interaction, the level of engagement is increasing by the minute. Now people are asking questions, and we have a situation whereby within the party, with some of the changes that have been made, there will be no longer imposition.
Yeah, it will be difficult.
The issue of consensus, imposition has been dealt with consensus arrangement. So if you want to have consensus, let every aspirant write, and they will write to that effect that they are withdrawing their candidature.
Yes.
So we saw that playing out. So little by little, it will not be drastic, it will not be revolutionary, it will be evolutionary.
But let me also add something.
We're plodding along one step at a time.
Yeah.
And you said that is... But by the way, I've just been notified that Mr. Festus Okoye, the INEC National Commissioner, Information and Voter Education, has joined us now. So good morning to you, Mr. Okoye.
Yes, good morning.
Thank you very much for making time for us. We appreciate it, especially as it's a packed schedule you have, but you said, look, you tear yourself away from it to spend a few minutes with us. Let's, without wasting any further time then, Inter-Party Advisory Council, that involves all of the parties, have made a request to INEC, which has been turned down, that we need to, can you please consider, review your timetable and consider giving us, something like, I think, a bit more time. Could you explain to us, please, the reasoning why INEC is not even considering whether the case has merit or not?
Well, you know that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria signed into law the Electoral Act 2022 on the 25th day of February 2022. Now, the next day, being the 26th, the Independent National Electoral Commission released the timetable and schedule of activities for the conduct of the 2023 general election. Now, nobody made any request to the Commission in April relating to rescheduling the election or even relating to adjusting the timetable. Nobody said anything to the Commission in April, in March. Nobody said anything to the Commission in April. Now, it is in May, at the middle of the primaries, that the advisory committee approached the Commission for a review. Now, we met with all the political parties yesterday. They also put across their request relating to a rescheduling of the election. But the chairman made it very clear that the timetable and schedule of activities which we have released was released in accordance with the intent of the law, the intent of the Constitution, and also the intent of the Electoral Act 2022. As you are aware, on the 18th day of June, we have a major election in Ekiti State, which is the Ekiti State governorship election. On the 16th day of July, we have the Osun governorship election. These are two major elections that the Commission must prepare for. Thereafter, we have 18 outstanding by-elections that we have not conducted. We have to prepare for these by-elections. The continuous voters registration exercise is ongoing. And as you are aware, we have major security challenges in some parts of the country, and we are dealing with that. We also have to engage in procurement. We have to procure non-sensitive election materials in terms of ballot boxes, in terms of cubicles, in terms of the beavers. We are engaged in all these things. We have to repair so many of our local government offices that were burned down during one form of challenge or the other. We have to deal with all this. So the conduct of party primaries is a small subset of the issues that the Commission is dealing with. Moreover, we have already trained our monitors and deployed some of them. Some of them are already out there in the field monitoring the primaries of these political parties. And every political party has given the Commission the dates when it wants to conduct its state assembly primaries, House of Reps primaries, senatorial primaries, governorship primaries, and presidential primaries. So this new Electoral Act, all of us are seeing it for the first time. All of us are going to operate it for the first time. All of us are pioneers. So the political parties should make the necessary sacrifice and pull through with their own party primaries so that none of the activities in our timetable and schedule of activities will be affected. So that is the position of the Commission.
I see. Well, thank you very much for that overview, Mr. Okoye. Now, since we have you, we didn't have you yesterday when we were also looking at something that we were calling confusion out there in the political landscape as the result of certain, candidates that were applying, that have indicated an interest. And this is all against the backdrop of who is allowed to or who is not allowed to. In specifics, we spoke about the governor of Central Bank. A lot of people speaking from their own understanding of the matter felt that it was, let me just say, one kind. Then there are all sorts of situations like that. What's the position of the Commission in relation to all these conversations going on in social media?
Well, you know that the legislative powers of the Federation resides with the National Assembly. And then when the National Assembly has finished consideration of a particular bill, it goes to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for assent. If the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria assents, it becomes law. If he does not assent, the National Assembly can take it back, take a second look at it, and amend it. And if they feel strongly, they can override the President's veto, and it becomes law. Now, the Electoral Act 2022 is a product of what I call multi-stakeholder intervention. In fact, this is the first time in the making of any law that the National Assembly involved all the critical stakeholders. They not only did public hearings where almost all Nigerians, every Nigerian who wanted to participated, and also sent in memos. They also organized technical sessions made up of the Independent National Electoral Commission, civil society groups and organizations, the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, and so on and so forth. All of us got together and carried out the technical committee sessions before it went back to the National Assembly for purposes of cleanup. As far as the commission is concerned, we have a law that is very, very progressive. We have a law that has taken into consideration so many of the concerns emanating from our practice of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended, emanating from the judgments and orders of course orders of court, and also emanating from the recommendations of civil society groups and organizations. And so we have a very, very good law. Now, this law has not been tested before. So we are going to be testing this law at this moment. Our prayer is that people should not unduly use the instrumentality of the courts to do things that are unwholesome. The new Electoral Act, the Electoral Act 2022, has given jurisdiction only to the Federal High Court, to deal with pre-election matters. So it is incumbent on the High Courts of the various states and the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory to hands off every issue, every matter relating to pre-election matters. And we also believe that political parties, the candidates and aspirants should properly read and study the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 and be abreast of it, so that they will know the intention of the lawmakers, know the intent of the law, and also abide by the provisions of the law. Going to court, for instance, to go and ask the court to interpret whether the commission has the right to do something that has not been activated doesn't make sense. And so our prayer is that people should read the law properly and make sure that they implement and abide by the intendments of the law.
Welcome back, and we have with us Mr. Festus Okoye via Zoom, otherwise referred to as remotely. He is INEC National Commissioner, Information and Voter Education. Thank you very much, Mr. Festus Okoye, for being with us. And Dare Odufowokon in studio, Assistant Editor of the Nation newspaper, and Dr. Jide Johnson, Chief Lecturer at NIJ. Gentlemen, you've heard the INEC National Commissioner, Information and Voter Education, indeed inform us. That's part of his job. We just, as voters, we need to be educated, and we just got a dose of that. He was quite clear. I mean, in the same way as some people have sent away to the courts to please let us understand better the law that is in black and white and that exists. We need to understand it. You guys have to also, was there anything that wasn't clear in Mr. Okoye's explanation of the matter as to?
No. I think what Mr. Okoye has been able
because
to
he actually, without going into specifics, has managed to comment on all those issues out there.
On almost all the issues that are knotty for now. And I think politicians and political parties should listen to him. If there is need for political parties to still invite him to talk to them, they should, because there are certain things going on that can test the laws and in the process test our democracy to the point of danger, as I want to put it.
You don't want to test it to breaking point.
I would say point of danger.
Okay.
Because if it breaks, that's the end. So he mentioned one of it. Why go to court to ask for the interpretations of something that went through a process? All you need to do is run foul of it and then let the court decide whether you are right or wrong, or abide by the letters of our books.
Yes.
It is simple. That is one. Two, the same Electoral Act, which he explained. He said it's one of the best he has seen, talking about the process. That the process was exhaustive, it was all-inclusive.
It involved all stakeholders.
And he finally said the process it will be sent to Mr. President by the National Assembly, and he will assent. He's telling us that is what they know. That is what they are working with. So for politicians, Why don't you simply work with that too? While you wait for the court to say whatever they will say in future. Work with it as it is so that we don't unnecessarily rock the boat. We don't unnecessarily test our own democracy. It is in transition. Our democracy is traveling. It is actually going to a particular destination. It is still on the way. And let us encourage it, and not disturb it.
And perhaps, Jide, it needs to be protected on its journey of transition.
No, that's why I love what he said, that the document will be tested, the act will be tested, and the first will test start with the primaries of the parties. Now, if INEC succumb to the pressure of the parties by shifting the deadline, then we have provided
there will be a domino effect.
A domino effect of that effect. And you could see from his speech and from his response the determination of INEC to abide by that progressive. The last time we had a comprehensive electoral act was in 2011. And 2010 to 2012. It took us 12 years to get to where we are. And I also love what he said. He said, if anybody has any challenges with respect to this, let them test it. And one area which I think the parties should have tested it is the area of INEC, is the area of National Assembly legislating on the conduct of the party. That's why I said the national legal advisor of all the political parties, we don't know even whether they existed or not. This shall have been the area which they have got. But one thing I also love about what he said is with respect to giving jurisdiction to pre-election matters to federal courts alone. So it's clear for the National Judicial Council to sanction any judge, any state judge or any magistrate court, any state court or what have you, that entertains, are you getting what I'm saying? That entertains any pre-election matter that it does not have jurisdiction over. So once we apply those sanctions, once judges lose their seat as a result of dabbling into matter which
they ought not to
dabble into, then we begin to clean the system and rid the system of a lot of bottlenecks that have been created by the political class over the years with respect to us having elections, knowing who the candidates are. Because I think what INEC wants us to do is that by January next year, Nigerians will know who the candidates are for all elective
by June.
No, what I'm saying is that when you have finished all your pre-election
and then you go to court and everything, these are the candidates, yes. And then we know who the candidates are, and Nigerians will know who they are voting for and who they are not voting for. So I agree with him in totality, and I think that with that they'll be able to write their name in gold and correct the wrongs of 2019. And now, if you look at what is happening in Osun today, it's a good example, and that's why we should agree with what Festus Okoye is saying there. There are complaints from other parties that PDP is actually having an undue advantage. How? 2 persons are campaigning as governorship candidates in Osun. So when you have, it's like having a football match of 22 players against 11. Saying that you are waiting for the referee to tell you which one is actually the real team. And 22 players are on the field. 2 candidates going around campaigning, they will cover more grounds than the person with 1 candidate. At the end of the day, that party wins and you tell me that's equity. I'll tell you no. So that's one of the things INEC is trying to guard against.
Mr. Okoye, you're hearing what our journalists in studio are saying, how much they agree with you, and I can only assume that INEC has really looked at the issue, studied it, and has, taken everything into consideration, including protests and litigation and all of that within the time frame that we have, that some parties are now saying, please extend. Mr. Okoye? Oh dear.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Okay, one moment please. Before you go, let me take Ada, who has called in from Jos. Mr. Okoye, stay with us. Good morning, Ada in Jos.
Yeah, your guest there.
Good morning, Ada.
I'm my head off. It's really. I like what Mr. Okoye said. Hello.
Yeah, please continue. We can hear you. We can hear you. Continue.
What I'm saying is that thank God for answered prayers. Let them not adjust it for even one day. They want an extension because they have failed to take care of their internal party democracy. That's right. And they want to have more time to make more money. Sell more funds. Yesterday, you remember we were talking about 26, 28 or whatever. Today is about in one of the parties. So what are you talking about? No matter how long you extend it, they will still have issues. They want to accommodate their mago term agenda and all that. You can see when I saw the skinny headlines in the newspaper today, they said about 4 contending meetings in their party said no to consensus. That's one-term agenda consensus, that they are not accepting it. So before you know it, it might even split that party. You know, so what are you talking about? The excitement is not for any debate or whatever. In Nigeria, people win elections because of debate. The people who debate are the people who lose the election in Nigeria. So what are we talking about?
Okay.
Let them not extend it.
Okay. Mr. Okoye has assured us that INEC has rejected that particular request. But Festus, I was saying earlier that maybe you couldn't hear. INEC has worked this out in such a way that every eventuality, contingency even, has been accounted for before this request for an extension of time came. And also in this connection, INEC is going to have to attend, or does it have to attend, physically, every one of these conventions that's coming up?
Now, the law gives us the discretion to attend or not to attend. But the law makes it mandatory that every registered political party in Nigeria that wants to conduct party primaries must give the Independent National Electoral Commission the requisite 21 days notice. All the registered political parties have given the commission that requisite 21 days notice. Now, under our guidelines and regulations, they have the discretion to adjust the timetable, their own timetable for the conduct of their party primaries by giving us at least 5 days notice of change of venue and so on, and change of date. So long as that date still remains within the confines and ambit of 4th April and 3rd June 2022. So it is for us to attend or not to attend. But Nigerians want us to attend because we have to write a report on what has happened in each election. So
sorry, Mr. Okoye, a caller just came in and who's on the line? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Ade calling from London. How are you?
Oh, Mr. Ade, Chief Dr. Ade in the UK. Good morning to you, sir. Go right ahead.
Okay, I want to ask Mr. Festus a question.
Sure.
Where will they keep the sensitive material? Keep it at Central Bank of Nigeria, where one of the head of the bank, part of the aspirant right now. Let him answer that question. And secondly, ask Mr. Okoye that can we see, because I'm having intention of, because I'm still saving my money, I want to buy for Dr. Yori to come. By maybe end of the year, my money will complete. So I can contest, it can be an aspirant. Do you see anything available for that?
Okay.
So by December, I'll be able to save my money.
Oh dear. Thank you very much, Mr. Ade from the UK. But the first and serious question,
Mr. Festus answer.
Yes, Festus, he asked this question about, because we know that INEC, traditionally has for the utmost in safety. What could be more important or worthy of safety than currency? And that's where INEC stores its sensitive materials. So that viewer is asking the question, what's your disposition towards that particular practice now that we have the governor of the central bank seeking to be an aspirant?
Still sitting on this.
Well, the central
and
bank
wanting to remain as governor of that central bank at the same time.
No, the central bank is a Nigerian institution. The central bank belongs to Nigerians. The central bank is covered by the laws of this country. And so we store our sensitive materials with the institution of the central bank. It really has nothing to do with the governor of the central bank. Before we put any material in the central bank, we have an inventory of those materials that we store at the central bank, and we store these materials in the central bank in all the states of the federation. None of the materials is not in the main head office of the central bank here in the Federal Capital Territory.
Okay.
It's normally in various states, and so we don't have an issue with that.
All right. I have another caller. Hello. Good morning. Who's on the line? I hear we have another caller.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, good day. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's your name?
Mr. Yakia.
Yahya.
Yakia. Y-A-H. Yakia.
Okay. Calling in from where?
I'm calling you from Yanagua.
Okay, go ahead, sir. You got a question for Mr. Okoye? Mr. Okoye?
Yeah, this program is very interesting.
Thank you.
To see that Okoye has taken time to explain the issues. But the fundamental fact is that you see what the courts are doing. That's why I hailed the new court judgment that have set aside the INEC judgment with respect to section 1854 sub 12. Because politicians in this court are taking electorate for a ride. I see no reason why persons should go to buy form without relinquishing their positions or resigning to allow the system to flow clearly. That's why I appreciate INEC for standing very firm and standing to the rules, because INEC needs to be independent. INEC needs to be very strict with politicians. That's why I'm happy when the chairman yesterday did not allow the political parties to go on with their action for extension of 2 months. Where were they? Political parties have been existing all this while. The timelines are there. Now the rules are being spelled out. They are not asking the national chairman to give you 2 months. 2 months to do what? You should be able to face principles, face facts, and by the rules of the game. Election is a process. It has guidelines. So political parties is a way to maintain internal democracy and begin to follow rudiments of the political dispensation. So I can get this right, because the election moving forward to 2022 was very interesting, because the state is staged. And the fact that's why I hear this recent court judgment as the breaking news now, that people need to go by the rules and stand by the game is so far. INEC has to be very big. INEC needs to follow the rules. I like the position of INEC. I think we've got one of the best INEC now.
Indeed.
That's why you see politicians, if it's other rules, to wake up and change it. But just yesterday, that process has to go through all the things that they have to pass it. We're to pass to pass it within 8 days. But for the issues of INEC, they are very strict. Look at the student issue that asked you. Has it taken the National Assembly how many days to pass that matter? Yes, they're not going to do anything. Look at our political process. But the matters that affect politics, within 1 day, they have been able to pass it through all the process that want to move it forward. Where we are there, that they have to exclude such a sensitive aspect of statutory delegates to vote in an election. This is not the first time delegates have been voting in election. All elections have been delegate elections. So why that fundamental flaw? And now they want to pass the process. My prayer is it should be very firm. INEC should be very strict. INEC should be independent. The whole box stops in INEC table. This election is to set a standard for Nigeria. The youth are watching. Future is so bleak. There's poverty. Nigeria is bleeding. Nigeria is on its knees. Yes, the politicians don't want to understand what the citizens are going through. So going forward, the umpire should play by the rules, stand by the game, and ensure that these politicians are told what to do. Politicians, look at the kind of money, 100 million.
All right then, thank you very much, Mr. Yakia. Appreciate you, really appreciate your call. Thank you very much. Mr. Okoye, even though it might be obvious and some might even say unnecessary, but I do want you to speak to the independence of the Independent National Electoral Commission, because that's what people want you to be. People are depending on that plank. How inviolable is it, the independence of the commission?
Well, the Independent National Electoral Commission is a creation of the Constitution and also a creation of the Electoral Act 2022. We operate within the ambit and confines of the Constitution. We must operate on the basis of the rule of law and due process. In other words, we must have absolute and unflinching fidelity to the provisions of the Constitution and the law. So what we have done and what we will continue to do is to make sure that we obey the provisions of the law in our activities, in our utterances, and in our actions. And any action that is not in consonance with the law and is not in consonance with the provisions of the Electoral Act will not be entertained by the Independent National Electoral Commission. And so we are the regulator of political parties. We register the political parties and we provide guidelines and rules for their operations. We also look into their books and audit their accounts and operate and provide the framework for their operation. And so we are going to begin to continue to act as a regulator of political parties and also as the guardian of the electoral process to make sure that whatever we do and whatever actions we take is for the good of the Nigerian people, is for the good of our electoral process, and also is in consonance with the intent of the Constitution and the law. So that is where we stand, and we'll continue to do our best to make sure that we give Nigerians a very good election.
Okay, and I'm actually just getting an alert now, breaking news item that the Court of Appeal in Abuja has set aside judgment voiding Section 8412 of the Electoral Act of 2022. You might have seen that yourself, Festus, because I know you people have a finger on all of these things as they are breaking. But I'm just getting the news that the Court of Appeal in Abuja has set aside the judgment that voided Section 8412.
All through, in all my public appearances and all my utterances, I had all the political parties to tread with caution, and that they should pay very close attention to Section 84, subsection 12, and make sure that in whatever they do and whatever actions they take, that they must be reminded that the Federal High Court and the State High Courts are the courts of first instance, and that there's the Court of Appeal and also the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So if the Court of First Instance has taken a decision, you need to be slightly cautious because there are higher courts that can void whatever decision they...
All right then, Mr. Okoye, thank you very, very much for that comment and also for making time for us this morning. We've completely run out of time. INEC Commissioner, National Commissioner, Information and Voter Education, thank you very much. And also let me quickly thank my guest in studio, Dario Dufo-Okon, The Nation, Dr. Jide Johnson, NIJ. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program.
It's a pleasure.
It's indeed.
Let the parties be careful.